Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we're taking a look at Alan Wake Remastered. Effectively, there's no difference between remastered and the old one apart from graphical updates, so there you go. Although on the basis of that, I will get this out of the way first. There were a few technical problems I had to resolve. A lot of textures were really messed up and the lighting was rough. I actually had to cap the game at 60 via the NVIDIA control panel and also set my monitor to 60. And then they went away and it was fine. So once I'd done that, it was okay. It was just like a pain in the ass having to do that. Christ, I've been playing a ton of other stuff with nothing, but whatever. So this is actually not the review I was intending to make this week. Basically, I arranged a game to play through and review, and it's kicking my ass, and I haven't had time to get good yet. So, so we're here. We're here. But Alan Wake, what is Alan Wake? Apologise if there's background noise because it is lunchtime I am doing this, and apparently there are more assholes outside during lunch than there is in the evening. Imagine that, I don't know. But we'll move right along. So Alan Wake is a third-person sort of survival horror game, I'd say. It takes a lot of the best parts of many franchises like Twin Peaks, In the Mouth of Madness, I'd say. That's not one you can really get associated with it, but I think I don't hear too many people to say that, but I think that's a very valid one. And of course, stuff like Silent Hill and Resident Evil as well, to certain degrees. So you're Alan Wake, a writer. You're going on a retreat with your wife. First night there, you're on an island. Lights go out in the cabin. Wife goes into the river, the lake. And off you are on your adventure when you wake up in a car a week later. And you're like, what the hell am I doing here? So there is this ancient evil, which is the darkness. And it possesses people and objects to attack you with. It's got quite a nice mechanic in the fact that the people have to be, that is shrouded in the darkness, and you need to burn that away first with a flashlight or some other means of generating light. And then they're vulnerable to conventional weaponry. Or if you've got a flare gun, it kind of doubles as both and is more like a grenade launcher, which is pretty fun, just seeing like packs of them just go flying and melting away into nothing. It's an extremely well written game, which you would kind of expect at this point in Sam Lake, I want to say. Yep, Sam Lake's career. I never could get into Control. That was another one that kicked my ass and I just gave up on it. So I'm probably just becoming more of a games journalist than I am a YouTuber nowadays. I think it's about getting old. But yeah, I mean, the story in this is pretty good. I mean, I've finished it and I still have questions, but I mean, I haven't played the DLC for this. Obviously, you've got American Nightmare, you've got Control, which also ties into this, I'm given to believe. And obviously Alan Wake 2, although I have played Alan Wake 2, and well, it's not really an Alan Wake game if you ask me, but well, whatever. Despite continuing on, it's like Alan is a side character in his own game, which I don't like. Okay, it's a black woman in the lead. You know, we're all used to like replacements for black women. But I mean, at the end of the day, I don't care who they replace Alan Wake with. I'm playing Alan Wake game to play Alan Wake, you know? Yeah. So anyone replacing Alan Wake would have been bad. And of course, it had to fit into the current vibe. You know, if English queens aren't immune for it, why should anybody else be? That's fair, isn't it? So Alan Wake is trying to survive. As I say, he has basically his flashlight. You do get a number of weapons. So there's two different types of shotgun. There's a hunting rifle, which I don't think I ever used. In fairness, I think I just relied on the shotgun more. And a revolver. You can also upgrade your flashlight. So you start with a standard one, then you go to a big one, and then you get like one of the big fuck off ones with the giant rectangular batteries in one of them. It's termed a lantern in game, but I don't know if that's accurate, to be fair. I always just knew it as a fucking big flashlight. or torch you in this country, I suppose. So you're there, and obviously it's all very mysterious. Your wife's gone missing, and more than that, not only has the cabin gone missing, but the entire fucking island has gone missing that you were on at the start of the game. So the authorities are obviously a little bit skeptical about your stories and think you might be going around the bend. And in truth, you're probably going around the bend because there's a lot of like psychedelic imagery happening. A lot about Alan's psyche is in the game. It's very strange, but it's done in a way that is not alien. The strangeness is still strange, but it's not an offensive strange. It's one that's kind of like, oh, I am familiar with this strangeness kind of thing. Whether it's because you've watched Twin Peaks or whatever. I don't understand why everybody was scared of a dwarf, really, but whatever. I'm kind of bouncing on this one because I've had a lot of sugar today. Sorry. It keeps me awake at work. What can I say? So Alan Wake has some really good bits in it, and there's a lot of good cinematography going on throughout the game. You have Midnight? I can't remember the name. There's basically a TV show within the game, and there's about, I think, 4 or 5 episodes that you can watch, and each of them are really entertaining, actually. So kudos for that. You can listen to radios, which fill in a bit more of the world building. They do tend to run on quite long and get a little bit boring for me at any rate, but I still did them. You'll pick up coffee thermoses, which outside of getting achievements, I haven't worked out why I'm picking them up. And pages of manuscript. You'll find pages of Alan Wake's new manuscript, which is detailing what is going on in the Alan Wake game that you are currently playing. Yes, it's one of those. So you'll pick manuscript pages up, but it might be for later in the game, it might be for earlier in the game, it might be for right fucking then. And when it's right fucking then, it gets really confusing because it's describing what you're doing, but you're describing what you're doing, so it's all kinds of strange. It's very atmospheric. The bad guys, there's not a huge variety of them, but the ones that are there are well done. They say really odd things, but odd in context. So they might say, oh, omega-3 is good for your health. You know, just regular shit that a person might say, but just so out of context and in a creepy voice that it just works for being creepy is all. It's just that weird disconnected thing. They're like a big gloppy monster, scary, but like a human that doesn't really have any morals or anything like that. That's kind of scarier because, you know, that's more familiar. That could happen, right? Whereas a big gloppy monster probably isn't. But, losing my train of thought already. Now, it is an older game, although this is a remaster, which is not as old. This is still about a 15-year-old game, I think. And it does show in the gameplay. The controls are buggy. Well, I would say clunky more than buggy, to be fair to it. There's a number of jumps. The jumping's not very responsive. The sort of geography of like the mesh that you're trying to land on sometimes is a little bit inconsistent. So the amount of times I've been relatively sure I'm landing on something and I've just fallen anyway. That's the thing. It also really likes jumping you off screen. So from the sides or the back, you'll be like concentrating your torch on one of the fallen or whatever taken. They're called the taken. The shadow dudes, and you're like burning his shadow off, and then wham, from behind you get hit. You're just like, where the fuck did you come from? And it doesn't help because it tries to be helpful in that when you finish dealing with like a group of enemies, the last one goes into slow motion when he dies, and it's like, but sort of imagine Street Fighter, right? And you're like, okay, cool, that's done. Unbeknownst to you, another group have already spawned in. So you're just like, smack, fucking axe in the back. Wonderful, thank you for that. So, yeah, it's not perfect. I mean, I like the core conceit of the gameplay, which is, the combined torch and gun thing. Kind of reminds me of the old Bioshock thing where you use the electroplasmid and the wrench, the 1-2 punch, that one. I remembered it. Fucking hell. So there's that. It's a fairly long game. It surprised me by how long it was. I didn't remember it being this long, let's be honest. So I've been doing quite a lot of work this week, more than I would like to, put it that way. Just because of overtime and testing and shit like that. So it left me sort of, when you're not a full-time YouTuber and you're just doing it as a hobby, which is obviously what I'm doing, hence the lack of professionalism, you have to make time for your job and your wife and your dogs and any other thing that fucking drops into your lap as well. And you also have to get around to completing games and them doing voiceover and capturing footage and uploading it. And sometimes it can be a bit of a trial. And yes, this was a bit of a trial. I stayed up far too late last night because I thought I was almost there. I thought, right, when my wife goes to bed, I shall just kick on and, finish her up. Ooh. I did not realise there were 2 chapters left. I thought I was on the last one. I was like, this won't take long. Oh, God, it keeps going. So you do get your money's worth, at least. Speaking of which, the original is available on Steam for £11. This one that you're presently seeing, that is one I actually got free. Hurrah! It came with Alan Wake 2 when I purchased that on Epic, the Epic Game Store. So there you are. What is up with the Epic engine, the Unreal Engine? Sort it out. Unreal Engine 5 is the most widely used engine in the history of the world, but it's awful. There's so much wrong with it. Can you just fix it, or at least 6 and make it better? I don't know. Not obviously Alan Wake 1 is not on the Unreal Engine 5. Oh god, that would be worse. Oh, I just love to have to sit for 20 minutes while my shaders compile. But it's a super interesting game, and although it doesn't answer all the questions and it kind of leaves it a bit open-ended, which considering there's a DLC and a game in between and then there's a sequel and there's obviously ties to control, you can see why it does that. I think Sam Lake was sort of playing a long game with this one, if I'm perfectly honest. So yeah, I do like it better than I like the second one. The second one is smoother and obviously it looks a lot better because it's 15 probably 14 years newer, so what do you expect? But I mean, I think the story in the first one's stronger. Obviously I prefer playing as Alan because I want to play as the protagonist, not just someone that discovers the protagonist and then kind of becomes the protagonist. Never mind, let's not go back there, it's fine. So I would recommend it highly over the first one, but bear in mind I didn't like Control, and that was nothing to do with the story. That was just that it kept killing me really badly. So I just confess all my gaming sins on here. Yes, I bought Illusion games. Fuck off. There we go. So Alan Wake, the remastered version, I would highly recommend. I mean, if you've not played it, this is obviously the one you should get, being remastered. Bear in mind, you might have to lock your monitor and your game to 60, but that's not a huge deal, and it's easily fixable, and it sorts out most of the problems. I didn't really notice anything else while I was playing through. No starters, nothing like that. But it is locked to 60, so it's not exactly taxing my graphics card, put it that way. But yeah, it's really good, and certainly if you do plan on playing any other games in Remedy's oeuvre, with the exception of the Max Payne games, and what was it, the Death Race thingy jigger that they did? I can't remember what it's called. Like one of the early ones. Then obviously this is you're onboarding basically for everything else. So it's kind of one that you need to play. in my opinion. Especially, you know, how most of the other stuff they've released is Alan Wake centric, sort of. So, yeah. Highly recommend it. It's not expensive and it's good. It's not perfect, but it is good. There's a few areas of jank. But in essence, it's a 15-year-old game that's been upscaled. So the jank is still going to be there from 15 years ago. And 15 years ago, it wouldn't have felt that janky, in all honesty. It wouldn't have felt arcadey, but it would certainly be in alignment with its peers. So that's all for today. I'm going to have a shower, actually. So you do take it easy, and I'll catch you next time.